Welcome to the blanket fort stream. Hope everyone's doing well. Is that a new camera? Is there a cat behind you? Okay, so what's happening right now is that I'm streaming on my laptop. So the camera that I'm using is the laptop camera. I'm not using my usual camera that I use. And also we have hold on. What I'm gonna do actually is I have Pokemon behind me. So you have Reggie, you have Rowlet vibe, and you have Wheezing over there. And then also on this side, I don't know if you'll be able to see, they have Taken Casualty. We have a little Bread. We have Grookey, and there's a Bulbasaur behind me as well. Believe you me when I tell you, it's been relatively hard to kind of just set this up. I wish I could have like more light here. It's very hard to get light here, so yeah. So this is the lighting that we're gonna go with. We're gonna be doing a little Sunday vibe day today. It's not gonna be a too long of a Sunday vibe day. It's not gonna be like your usual 4 hours of Sunday vibe day. What we're instead gonna be doing today is we're gonna be reading bedtime stories. And I'm gonna try and have this be put up on YouTube as well, on my BassedOlaf channel. The VOD will be up on the VOD channel as well, but I want to try and put this on the normal channel as well at some point. So that should be fun. And here we are with our own little kind of like blanket fort, hoping that it's not gonna fucking like crash on me, because believe you me, for like the past hour I've been trying different ways for a blanket fort to do a blanket fort, and this was the best scenario. This was the best thing I could do, because the other ones just these stands that I usually use for green screen just kept on falling down, and I wouldn't be surprised if they fall down on me at some point during the stream. So yeah, hi, give smooch. Just to give perspective, I am limited in movement over here. I'm a little fucked. So if you see me struggling, like turning around and stuff, you know it's because the movement in here is like very barely possible. ASMR smooch. Yay, story time. We have a few stories. Let me double check how many stories we actually have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. No. 9. 10 if we want both modernized and not modernized tale, but we'll move on. What we need right now is we need some bedtime story music. This is very much not bedtime story music. Just a disclaimer, I am not a professional story reader. Don't expect some high quality reading from me. I rarely, if ever, actually read stories in my free time. I rarely even read in my free time. So this is like a little bit of a kind of if I do mess up, I will continue, or if I do mess up, I will start again. The first story that we're going to be reading is a story called Goodnight Moon by Margaret Weisbrown. Pictures by Clement Hurd. Goodnight Moon by Margaret Weisbrown. In the green... Fuck. Already off to a good start. Off to a fantastic start, let me tell you. That's not in the book. Goodnight Moon by Margaret Weisbrown. In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon, and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon, and there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens. and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb, and a comb and a brush and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering hush. Good night room. Good night moon. Good night cow jumping over the moon. Good night light and the red balloon. Good night bears. Good night chairs. Good night kittens. And good night mittens. Good night clocks and good night socks. Good night little house and good night mouse. Good night comb and good night brush. Good night nobody. Good night mush. And good night to the old lady whispering hush. Good night stars. Good night air. Good night noises everywhere. There you go. There's the first story. This stream could end in an hour. If this is how it's gonna be, this stream will literally end in like 2 seconds. Okay. Fuck. That's not gonna make it into the stream, onto the video. Next up is a story called Love You Forever by Robert Munch. This page is left intentionally blank. I don't think that's part of the story, but... A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The baby grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelves. He pulled all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, "This kid is driving me crazy. What the fuck is this about?" But at nighttime, when the 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The little boy grew, he grew, and he grew, and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come in for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath, and when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at night time, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed if he was really asleep. She picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Ow, my leg. That's not what the baby said, that's me. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends and he wore strange clothes and he listened to strange music. Sometimes the mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at night time, when the teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he was really asleep, she picked him up, that great big boy, and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Quick question. I'm not shitting on the story. I'm just wondering, 1, why is she crawling? Two, how is she picking up? How is she must be fucking strong as shit, bro. She must be like big. She must have like the muscles of fucking Hercules. Because holy shit, she's picking him up while he's a teenager. God damn. I guess that's one thing that we're gonna find out about, like, when reading these stories. We're gonna find out, like, more and more about, like, how weird some bedtime stories are. So this is gonna be very interesting. That teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home and got a house across town. But sometimes on dark nights, the mother got into a car and drove across town. If all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." Let's continue the story. I want to see how it ends. Now I'm intrigued. How this will be. Well, that mother, she got older and older and older. One day she called up her son and said, "You better come see me because I'm very old and sick." So her son came to her. When he came in the door, she tried to sing a song. She sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always," but she couldn't finish because she was too old and sick. The son went to his mother, he picked her up and rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and he sang this song, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mummy you'll be." When the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The end. Wholesome story. But like the fact that, hold on, where is it? If all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. Did his wife just not pay attention? Listen, if my mum broke into my house, I would be freaked the fuck out. I would literally be like, listen, I know you're my mother, but this is fucked. Knock on my door. Call me. Do not crawl on my fucking bedroom floor and then, like, come through the bedroom window. Next up is The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn. Chester Raccoon stood at the edge of the forest and cried, "I don't want to go to school." He told his mother, "I want to stay home with you. I want to play with my friends and play with my toys and read my books and swing on my swing. Please, may I stay home with you?" Mrs. Raccoon took Chester by the hand and nuzzled him on the ear. "Sometimes we all have to do things we don't want to do," she told him gently, "even if they seem strange and scary at first. But you will love school once you start. You'll make new friends and play with new toys, read new books, and swing on new swings. Besides," she added, "I know a wonderful secret that will make your nights at school seem as warm and cozy as your days at home." Chester wiped away his tears and looked interested. "A secret? What kind of secret?" "A very old secret," said Mrs. Raccoon. I learnt it from my mother, and she learnt it from hers. It's called the kissing hand." "The kissing hand?" asked Chester. "What's that?" "I'll show you." Mrs. Raccoon took Chester's left hand and spread open his tiny fingers into a fan. Leaning forward, she kissed Chester right on the middle of his palm. Chester felt his mother's kiss rush from his hand up his arm and into his heart. Even his silky black mask tingled with a special warmth. Mrs. Raccoon smiled. "Now," told Chester. "Now," she told Chester, "whenever you feel lonely and need a little loving from home, just press your hand to your cheek and think, 'Mommy loves you, Mommy loves you.' And that very kiss will jump to your face and fill you with toasty warm thoughts." She took Chester's hand and carefully wrapped his fingers around the kiss. "Now do be careful not to lose it," she teased him. "But don't worry. When you open your hand and wash your food, I promise the kiss will stick." Chester loved his kissing hand. Now he knew his mother's love would go with him wherever he went, even to school. That night, Chester stood in front of his school and looked thoughtful. Suddenly he turned to his mother and grinned. "Give me your hand," he told her. Chester took his mother's hand in his own and on his own and unfolded her large, familiar fingers into a fan. Next, he leaned forward and kissed the center of her hand. Now you have a kissing hand too," he told her, and with a gentle goodbye, "and I love you," Chester turned and danced away. Mrs. Raccoon watched Chester scamper across a tree limb and enter the school. And as the hoot owl rang in the new school year, she pressed her left hand to her cheek and smiled. The warmth of Chester's kiss filled her heart with special words. "Chester loves you," it sang. "Chester loves you. I love you." The end. We're going to continue with the next story. This story we have heard from me times before. And this is going to be everyone's favorite, "Go the Fuck to Sleep" by Adam Mansbach. The cats nestle close to the kittens now. The lambs have laid down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please go the fuck to sleep. The windows are dark in the town, child. The whales huddled down in the deep. I'll read you one very last book if you swear you'll go the fuck to sleep. The eagles who soar through the sky are at rest, and the creatures who crawl, run, and creep. I know you're not thirsty, that's bullshit, stop lying. Lie the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. The wind whispers soft through the grass, hun. The field mice, they make not a peep. It's been 38 minutes already. Jesus Christ, what the fuck, go to sleep. All the kids from daycare are in dreamland. The froggy has made his last leap. Hell no, you can't go to the bathroom. You know where you can go? The fuck to sleep. The owls fly forth from the treetops. Through the air they soar and they sweep. A hot crimson rage fills my heart, love. For real, shut the fuck up and sleep. The cubs and lions are snoring, wrapped in a big snuggly heap. How is it you can do all this other great shit, but you can't lie down and fucking sleep? The seeds slumber beneath the earth now, and the crops that the farmers will reap. No more questions, the interview's over. I've got 2 words for you, kid. Fucking sleep. The tiger reclines in the simmering jungle. The sparrow has silenced her cheep. Fuck your stuffed bear, I'm not getting you shit. Close your eyes, cut the crap, and sleep. The flowers those low in the meadows, and high on the mountains so steep. My life is a failure, I'm a shitty ass parent. Stop fucking with me, please, and sleep. The giant pangolins of Madagascar are snoozing as I lie here and openly weep. Sure, fine, whatever, I'll bring you some milk. Who the fuck cares? You're not gonna sleep. The room is all I can remember. The furniture crappy and cheap. You win, you escape, you run down the hall as I nod the fuck off and sleep. Bleary and dazed, I awaken to find your eyes shut, so I keep my fingers crossed tight as I tiptoe away and pray that you're fucking asleep. We're finally watching a movie. Popcorn's in the microwave beep. Oh shit. God damn it. You've got to be kidding me. Come on, go the fuck back to sleep. The end. Next story. By May. It's by Annabelle Lee. Or is it called Annabelle Lee? It was many year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre, I think that's what it says, in this kingdom by the sea. The angels not half so happy in heaven when envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my beautiful, my darling, my love, and my bride. There you go. Well, Annabelle Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. There you go. Poe, not O. Oh, sorry, let me... Poe. Fucking punk. Next story is called There Was an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly. There was an old woman who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old woman who swallowed a spider that wiggled and giggled and jiggled inside her. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly, but I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old woman who swallowed a bird. How absurd! To swallow a bird? She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. But I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she will die. There was an old woman who swallowed a cat. Imagine that! She swallowed a cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. But I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old woman who swallowed a dog. What a hog! To swallow a dog. She swallowed the dog to catch the cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. But I don't know why she swallowed the fly. perhaps she will die. There was an old woman who swallowed a cow. I don't know how she swallowed a cow. She swallowed the cow to catch the dog. She swallowed the dog to catch the cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly, but I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old woman who swallowed a horse, and she's dead, of course. The end. What a fucking story. Next up is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Joff Numerov. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then he will want to look in the mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair might need a trim, so he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. He may even end up washing the floors as well. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. You will have to fix a little box for him with a blanket and a pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. He'll probably ask you to read him a story, so you read him one from one of your books, and he will ask to see the pictures. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited, he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture. When the picture is finished, he'll want you to sign his name. He'll want to sign his name with a pen. Then he'll want to hang the picture on the refrigerator, which means he will need scotch tape. He will hang up his drawing and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's so thirsty, so he will ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want a cookie to go with it. The end. Next up, we have a Brothers Grimm story. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was so sweet and kind that everyone loved her. Her grandmother, who loved her more than anyone, gave her a little cap made of red velvet, which suited her so well that she wanted to wear it all the time. Because of that, everyone took to calling her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, I've got a job for you. Your grandmother isn't well, and I want you to take her this cake and a bottle of wine. They'll make her feel a lot better. You be polite when you go into her house. Give her a kiss from me. Be careful on the way there, and don't step off the path, or you might trip over and break the bottle and drop the cake, and then there'd be nothing for her. When you go into her parlor, don't forget to say good morning, Granny, and don't go peering into all corners." "I'll do everything right, do not worry," said Little Red Riding Hood, and kissed her mother goodbye. Her grandmother lived in the woods, about half an hour's walk away. When Little Red Riding Hood had only been walking a few minutes, a wolf came up to her. She didn't know what a wicked animal he was, so she wasn't afraid of him. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "Thank you, wolf, and then good morning to you. Where are you going so early this morning?" "To Granny's house." "And what's in that basket of yours?" "Granny's not very well, so I'm taking her some cake and some wine. We baked the cake yesterday, and it's full of good things like flour and eggs. And it will be good for her and make her feel better." "Where does your granny live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "Well, I have to walk along this path till I come to 3 big oak trees, and that's her house, behind a hedge of hazel bushes. It's not very far away, about 15 minutes a walk, I suppose." "You must know the place," said Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought, "Now this dainty young thing looks a very tasty mouthful. She'll taste even better than the old woman, but if I'm careful, I'll be able to eat them both." So he walked along a while with this Little Red Riding Hood, and then he said, "Look at those flowers. Little Red Riding Hood, aren't they lovely? The ones under the trees over there? Why don't you go closer so you can see them properly? And you seem as though you're walking to school. All serious and determined, you never hear the birds if you go along like that. It's so lovely in the woods, it's a shame not to enjoy it. Little Red Riding Hood looked where he was pointing. And when he saw the sunbeams dancing here and there between the trees and how beautiful the flowers grew everywhere, she thought, I could gather some flowers to take to Granny. She'll be very pleased with those. And it's still early. I've got time to do that and still be home on time. So she stepped off the path and ran into the trees to pick some flowers. But each time she picked one, she saw an even prettier one a bit further away. So she ran to get that as well. And all the time she went further and further into the wood. But while she was doing that, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house and knocked at the door. "Who's there? Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "I've got some cake and wine for you. Open the door." "Just lift the hatch," said the grandmother. "I'm feeling too weak to get out of bed." The wolf lifted the latch and their door opened. He went inside, looked around to see where she was, and then leaped on the grandmother's bed and ate her all up in one gulp. Then he put on her clothes, put her nightcap on his head, and pulled the curtains tight shut, got into bed. All that time, Little Red Riding Hood had been wandering about picking flowers. Once she had gathered so many that she couldn't hold any more, she remembered that she remembered what she was supposed to be doing, and set off along the path to her grandmother's house. She had a surprise when she got there because the door was open and the room was dark. My goodness, she thought, I don't like this. I feel afraid, and I usually like it at Granny's house. She called out, "Good morning, Granny," but there was no answer. She went to the bed and pulled up on the curtains. There was her grandmother lying with her cap pulled down, looking very strange. "Oh, Granny, what big ears you've got. All the better to hear you with. Granny, what big eyes you've got. All the better to see you with. And Granny, what big hands you've got. All the better to hold you with. And oh, Granny, what a great grim, ghastly mouth you've got. All the better to eat you with." And as soon as the wolf said that, he leaped out of the bed and gobbled up Little Red Riding Hood. Once he'd swallowed her, he felt full and satisfied, and since the bed was so nice and soft, he climbed back in, fell deeply asleep, and began to snore very loudly indeed. Just then, a huntsman was passing by. The woman was making such a noise, he thought. I better go and see if she's all right. He went into the parlor, and when he came near the bed, he stopped in astonishment. "You old sinner," he thought. "I've been looking for you for a long time. I found you at last." He raised his rifle to his shoulder, but then he put it down again because it occurred to him that the wolf might have eaten the old lady, and he might be able to rescue her. So he put down the rifle and took a pair of scissors and began to snip open the wolf's bulging belly. After only a couple snips, he saw the red velvet cap, and a few snips later the girl jumped out. "Oh, that was terrible," she said. "I was so frightened. It was so dark in the wolf's belly." And then the grandmother began to clamber out, a bit out of breath, but not much the worse for her experience. While the hunter helped her to a chair, Little Red Riding Hood ran outside to fetch some heavy stones. They filled the wolf's body with them, and then Little Red Riding Hood sewed him up very neatly, and then they woke him up. Seeing the hunter there with his gun, the wolf panicked and ran outside, but he didn't get very far. The stones were so heavy that soon he fell down dead. All three of them were very happy. The hunter skinned the wolf and went home with the pelt. Granny ate the cake and drank the wine, and Little Red Riding Hood thought, what a narrow escape. As long as I live, I'll never do that again. If Mother tells me to stay on the path, that's exactly what I'll do. The end. Wait, hold on. There's more to this. I suppose that this and Cinderella are the two best-known fairy tales in Britain at any rate, and they both owe a great deal of their popularity to Charles Perrault. His version differs from Grimm mainly in that it ends with the wolf eating Little Red Riding Hood. There's no rescue by a brave huntsman. Instead, a moralistic verse warns that not all wolves are wild. Some of them are smooth-talking seducers. The huntsman is an interesting detail. The German forests were not just wilderness, belonging to no one. The owners were often of princely rank, and after the great demand for shipbuilding timber and the destruction of the forests to make way for crops and cattle to feed the armies of 30-year wars, what they wanted most from the woods was pleasure and recreation, hunting, in a word. As John Eliot Gardiner says in his forthcoming work on J.S. Bach, in terms of influencing the way their princely owners' woods were managed, the huntsman eclipsed the trained forester, just as the pheasant and the gatekeeper today so often has more sway than the woodsman. Perhaps Forrester, being less confident with wild animals than a huntsman and less likely to carry a gun too, would have tiptoed away carefully from the sleeping wolf and left Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother to be digested. There you go. Little Red Riding Hood, am I right? The best Little Red Riding Hood story is Hoodwinked, and no one will argue with me against that. If you've never seen Hoodwinked, watch Hoodwinked. Hoodwinked is one of the best Little Red Riding Hood stories to exist in general. That's all I'm gonna say. If you've never watched Hoodwinked, you definitely should. Do not watch the second one. Watch the first one. It's a fucking fantastic story. And yes, the animation is shit, but I do suggest you watch it because it's really good. Trzeba znaleźć interwencję dla tych osób, co ją potrzebują, wsadzić ich na inną sekcję. Pojedyncza linia, proszę nie maskajcie. Przygotujcie się na pieprzoną rzeźnię. Raz, dwa, trzy, cztery, maszerują oficery. Szukają jednego przestępcy, kto zamordował grę.